All right. It's been a while. I've been actually been in the trenches for the past 10 months. I have been super dialed in working and perfecting my craft. For those of you who don't know what I do, I've been in online marketing for about 8 years. I'll be 24 tomorrow, so technically 24. But one thing that I did want to talk about is the perception of how people see their work. And over the last year, I've pretty much had my head down. Yeah, I had travels and stuff like that, but pretty much had my head down, working and perfecting the craft of copywriting and paid ads, and also client management as well. And so I was reading, I actually don't have the book here, but I was reading the 38 letters that John D. Rockefeller wrote to his son. And in one of the letters, Rockefeller talked about how people have a different lens and perspective of how they see their work. And essentially, there's three kinds of people. There's the first one that gets up every day and just has to go to work to make money, goes to sleep, right? He doesn't really think much of his work. Um, and it kind of just creates that like dullness for that kind of person. And so that's why they tend to accumulate all the stress and all the pretty much the hardships. I mean, generally speaking, just because of the way that they look at their work, right? Then you have the next person who basically has a bit of a deeper purpose where they get up, they go to work, and the reason they do that is because they have to put food on the table for their family. So there's a reason, right? Now, it may not be the most ideal, okay, and it might be something that causes them stress, and it kind of puts their back up against a wall. Because if they don't do this, then they cannot feed their family. But then there's also the third kind of person who, when you ask them what they're doing, when you come up to, their desk and ask them like, "What have you been building?" And they respond back. They put the pen down and they look back at their work, take a pause, and they say, "I'm building a piece of art." And when I read this, it like changed the perspective of how I look at the things that I do. And honestly, it's helped me to show up a lot better for my clients and how I actually produce things. Because when you look at it as, okay, get this done, and then you kind of check out, it's like you wake up the next day and you think, I just have to clear what's on my checklist. And you're going to get stressed because you're not able to get that done in time, right? Or things are just not working out. But if you look at it from the perspective of the artist, they will work day in and day out to make sure that it's actually perfect, right? And they don't tend to accumulate as much stress because they look at it from a lens of like, I'm trying to build something perfect. So this is what it's going to require. And I think like again, after I made that lens like perspective shift, it's completely changed the way that I look at my work. Lately I've been working 12, 14-hour days, and some can get burnt out and stressed. But I feel like if I look at it from the perspective of being the artist and perfecting my craft and like putting in the genuine time that I want to for the clients and getting results with their ads, right? With their emails, with whatever it may be, then it becomes more of a game, right? And then you don't get burnt out. And so then you can, work without having to look at the clock while still being healthy, right? I mean, you can work without looking at the clock and then get burnt out, get stressed, and like, raise your cortisol levels and all this stuff. But When you look at it as an art piece, an art form, then your perspective changes, right? Your mindset changes. You don't need motivation necessarily, right? You don't need to consider yourself as like part of the hustle culture. You're just an artist building this piece of artwork, right? And so it puts everything into perspective. So if you feel like you're getting burnt out, if you feel like you need maybe something to motivate you, you have to shift your lens like what I did to look at it as art. You are the artist and you look at it as artwork. And everyone wins. The clients do better, you do better, right? And you're not as stressed. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like 100% you won't have stress, but what I will say is that it just makes things a lot easier, right? And it makes it more fulfilling and worth pursuing. So if that helped, feel free to share this. Let me know in the comments, and I'll go ahead and produce more content like this. Catch you in the next one.